As kids, we are often asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? And these questions get even more hype when it comes to Indian families. Well, for obvious reasons. Even I went through this question not once, not twice, but several times. And I had a different answer every time, and I didn't bother or it did not excite me much. Until this one day, when my dad took me to this so-called party at his office. I was probably the only person who was not interested in socializing with people, and the thing which only excited me was the food available over there. I took the plate, filled it with food, which I could never finish, I knew that, and sat in one corner. My dad approached me and introduced me to an uncle. He talked to me in the sweetest way possible, and then asked me the same thing. What do you want to do when you grow up? I, without any hesitation, told, I want to become a doctor. He smiled at me and told, that's nice, but then why do you want to become a doctor? Surprisingly, it was the first time someone asked me this. I was clueless, and it showed on my face. He very gently patted my back and then said, child, if you don't know why you want to do something, it's like aiming at something blindly. Know why you want to do something. Always say that I want to become something because so and so and so. Always have a because in your answer, as this because represents your cause, and without a cause, there is no effect. This struck me hard, and I began thinking about it. It made me anxious and curious. I wanted to think out of that clichéd box and know why I wanted to do something. Probably was my first mature step towards intellectual growth. I began thinking about it, and I wanted to find my answer. Little did I know, destiny had already framed it for me. Soon, summer vacations were going to start, and we were going to visit my granddad's place, which is in a small village in Jharkhand. The place is a very conservative place with a meager number of people who had anachronic thoughts. I was well aware about it because my parents had talked to me about it several times, and I also have experienced it many times. I didn't like visiting that place because of the people over there, but still, beside all these setbacks, two things which always excited me to go there were my grandparents and Sarla auntie. She was like a family member to me who took care of me when I was born and when my mom and dad were away for work. Her warmth made me feel secure when no one was around me. My summer vacation started. We visited my granddad's place, and we had to attend this marriage function. I didn't want to go there. I wanted to stay back and spend some time with my granddad and Sarla auntie. All my relatives and parents left for the marriage function, and I immediately hopped inside the kitchen where Sarla auntie was doing her household chores. I was a total restless kid, and I wanted to do something every now and then. I was getting bored looking at her, and I immediately started craving for a chocolate. I ran to my granddad and asked him for a few pennies so that I can go and get myself a chocolate from a nearby shop. He first hesitated in giving me and letting me go alone, but then, as the shop was nearby, he told me, just come back home very soon and do not go anywhere else. I happily took the money, hopped out of my house. Outside, it was very silent, as it was afternoon time and everyone were out for their homes to the naps. There was a small shop in the corner, and I went inside there. There was an uncle of probably middle age sitting. I went inside and told, Uncle, can I please get that chocolate? He told me, come inside and tell me which chocolate you want. He talked to me very nicely. I was an immature kid, and I didn't realize anything at that moment. I went inside and told, I want this chocolate. He caught hold of me and made me sit there. By this time, I knew that I'm not feeling comfortable, and whatever was happening was not right. I tried to give as much force as possible to move myself out from that place, but I couldn't. He put his hand over my face so that I don't shout, and by this time, I tried every possible effort to come out of that place. And then, I heard a voice. Leave her. I said, leave her. When I roll my eyes, I see Sarla auntie standing there in anger. She comes, pulls me back from the person, and gets into a vigorous fight with him. A verbal fight which was about to get physical. And to my utter surprise, he was her husband. I was scared. I ran away from the shop, back to my granddad. I hugged him and started crying. He asked me several times, what happened? But I couldn't say him anything. I wasn't in a situation to tell him anything what happened. I was just crying, leaving, and Sarla auntie was still there in the shop. Within 15-20 minutes, we heard a lot of hue and cry from outside. Me and my granddad immediately ran outside to see what was happening. And what I saw changed my life. I saw Sarla auntie being burnt alive by her husband. Why? Because she raised her voice against the wrong. People saw, but no one did anything. They did nothing, they just gossiped. And the gossip said like, she shouldn't have argued with her husband, it's against her rituals. Shocks of terror ran inside me. I didn't know what to do. I was in a dilemma. I had a million of questions in my mind. Why did this happen to her? Why did she get killed? Why is she burning alive? Why is no one doing anything about it? Was it always wrong that good always wins over the bad? Is everything a lie? I couldn't see the one I loved shouting in pain and no one doing anything about it. It was too much for me to bear. A 10-year-old kid seeing her beloved being burnt in front of her. That moment, it struck me very hard. I felt sick, both mentally and physically. I was affected by jaundice, and I didn't want to speak to anyone. For months, people kept on asking me what was wrong with me. My parents were worried, but still, I didn't want to speak to anyone. At the end, the only solution people could think was spiritual powers. My mom, being very religious, took me to this temple where they say that the priest, by his spiritual powers, can cure any disease. We went to the temple. I sat in front of the priest, and he started enchanting the prayers. But I paid no attention to it. I just kept on staring down because it made no difference to me. By the end of the prayer session, he asked me, "Are you searching for something? You look lost." I nodded my head. I didn't want to speak a word. He then again asked me, "My child, are you searching for something? If you are searching so, I might help you." I again nodded my head, but he didn't look convinced. He then told me, "If you're searching for something and you cannot find it, then probably that thing doesn't exist, and it's time for you to create it." This thing reminded me of the uncle I met at the party, who told me to find a cause. When the priest told me that a thing doesn't exist and it's time for me to create it, the only thing I could think was maybe my answers don't exist and it's time for me to create them. I, at that point of time, knew what I wanted to do. I had an aim in my life. I had a goal to give justice to each and every person like Sarla auntie who were a victim of bad laws of our country, because it was their right and my duty. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew my cause, and I wanted to stick to it. I knew I might not be able to change every klepto thing in the society, nor change the mindsets of people, but if I could make even, my small efforts could make even smallest difference towards thinking the perspective of people and make a good, and take it forward to a good change, it would be a big thing. People say such incidents are common in India. But do you realize why is it common? It is because of our ignorance. We ignore it, and that's why it looks common. If we take up the cause, even the smallest thing, which we feel is small, but it's not, might make a great difference. Imagine something same happening to your loved ones. Gives me goosebumps and reminds me of Sarla Auntie. Remembering Sarla Auntie keeps the fire inside me burning because it reminds me why I started and what made me do so. She might not be there with me, physically or mentally, but she's always there with me, in my thoughts, in my words, in my actions. I don't know where I will go, what will I do in my life, but today I strive that wherever I go, I shall not fear to fight for justice. I shall face every obstacle that comes in my life with utmost strength and faith. I shall respect my nation and love it and make it that worthy that it's respected and loved in everyone's eyes. I shall not demand the change, but be the change by being the part of this corrupt system and bringing the change and merely not criticizing it. I strive to love my nation. I strive to respect it. If soldiers at the borders are doing outer cleaning by fighting against the enemies, I strive to be a part of the inner cleaning to remove every such worm which takes away the justice of my people. I strive to fight and stick to my cause and take every step in furtherance of it. And whenever I step back, I shall remember why I started. When we think about Genesis, we think of things we inherit, qualities we inherit from our loved ones and from our blood relations. But in my case, I inherited something from a stranger. It was different, yet magical. Thank you.